The following video was recorded on location in my state-of-the-art office in the corner of my first floor apartment. If you like what you're about to hear, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell in the upper right corner. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so very much for taking the time to do this interview.
No problem, man. How can I help you?
Well, awesome. Well, of course, I'm here to talk about everything that's going on in the world of TesseracT right now, and what a better way to start it off than the fact that you guys are on tour right now with Megadeth and Meshuggah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of our biggest tours to date, actually, and it's quite interesting to be on tour. Not just with Megadeth, but also with Meshuggah, because they heavily influenced the first album, as you might be aware. So I think it's for some of the band, it's even more of a pleasure to be on the road with those than Megadeth. Yeah, I think we're playing to a very different type of crowd. Megadeth they've been around for a long time and they've got a hardcore following. So we are definitely the unknown band on this tour. But having said that, the response has been amazing so far. We're definitely converting new fans, and everyone's been really respectful. You do sometimes jump on a tour and the headliners, fans, predominantly there to watch those guys, and they're not always as receptive as they are on this tour, which is really nice. They're very respectful, and they've really enjoyed what we've had to offer so far.
I'm glad to hear that, because I know a lot of very old school Megadeth fans can be very fickle about what bands are opening, so I'm glad to see that you guys are getting a great reception.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always the odd person that shows their distaste, but you kind of like to, you learn to deal with that, and you have to accept it as well, because you can't. But yeah, it's been great so far.
Sadly, you guys are not going to be able to hit my neck of the woods in Minnesota, so I'm not able to see you guys on this tour. But what songs are you guys showcasing on this tour?
We've thrown in a new track. We've just released the latest single called "Smile," which we're testing. I know that sounds a bit strange. We haven't really played it that many times, but fourth or fifth show in, I think we're just getting used to it now, which is it's nice for us to be able to do that before we actually release the fourth studio album, because I'm sure it may change a little bit for the album version, but we don't always get the opportunity to play new songs to people ahead of an album, so that's been really great. But we're kind of throwing all our main singles into the set. We're going to have like a half an hour set, so we're just trying to be as impactful as possible, and some of our songs are quite lengthy, so we've tried to keep it short and snappy, which I think people are really responding to as well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that too. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's obviously some epics that would fit very well on this kind of bill, but considering that you are one of the opening acts for this tour, it is good to just like focus on the most catchiest hit songs to try to bring in that fan base and to make it a complete set.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, you touched on it as well. There's a brand new track that's still in the works called "Smile," which you guys released just not too long ago, which I'm really digging what you guys are doing with it so far. Like, obviously, like mentioned in the descriptions everywhere on social media, that the song is a work in progress, and also with the mixing and production as well. How did you guys know what area to try to approach for the fourth album, like the writing style and lyrics and things like that?
It's not normally a conscious thing, I'll be honest. We don't we don't conform to any formula really. We just do what we want when it comes to writing music. As long as we're happy and we feel creative, then we're in a good space. So I think the feedback initially might appear to have been quite biased in terms of like people's negativity towards the way that it sounds. But I think whatever you do, as soon as you change the sound of any element of what people think you sound like, there's always going to be people that aren't happy about it. And we have a very passionate and very dedicated following, and it just so happens that a lot of the people that comment and follow us are musos. So we do get a lot of people that comment on the mix of our songs and certain sounds and such. But I have to say that the whole reach of the song, the general response has been actually quite overwhelming. overwhelmingly positive. So we're really happy with that. I think we may change the odd little bit here and there just to tighten things up. But in general, that song was really, again, another kind of, hooky hit single that we wanted to throw out there to help promote the tour that we're on at the minute, and also to give fans, a bit of an insight into what the next album might sound like.
And in speaking of that, how far along is the rest of the album as far as the songwriting? Is it on par with Smile, or is that even less?
Well, we have hours and hours worth of back catalogue demos and seeds, so sometimes draw from that reserve of seeds, if you like. But we also like to explore fresh new sounds. So things are constantly on the move and it's always evolving. We do have, I'd probably say we have a handful of demos so far, but things can change so rapidly that we never like to settle until we're really feeling the direction. I do kind of secretly hope that we'll go down a slightly more progressive route. I think we'll always like to throw in some kind of shorter single song, because we want to reach a wider audience. I wouldn't say we're necessarily doing it deliberately, but we are very we acknowledge the fact that to get songs on radio, they unfortunately do have to conform to a certain length, a certain type of sound. So we're trying to find a nice balance between accessibility yet retaining what TesseracT is within the progressive element of music. But I do think that it might be a conceptual album this time. I wouldn't say there's necessarily going to be another Conceding Fate, but I think there'll be a nice variety of different songs on the album that people can, everyone can take something from it, I think.
And that's what I've always appreciated about it. Always will have the core sound of TesseracT in a certain style, but it's able to get progressive enough and experimental enough to try different approaches, new directions, and still keep that core sound that you guys established.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to every album that we put out, every EP in between all of those as well, and you'll notice that there's always some difference, there's always some experimentation going on sonically. I don't think we're ever going to be the type of band that just replicates one sound, I mean, you can be very successful at doing that, but I don't think it satisfies our creative desires to just completely, churn out the same type of sound and repeat the same formula. We find it very, very exciting, and it keeps things fresh for us as a band, keeps relationships healthy, and yeah, I just think creativity is the most important thing for us. I mean, we do appreciate that we've got a fan base and we wouldn't be here without them, but I also think that our fan base is very accepting and like to be challenged. I think the average TesseracT listener wants to be challenged, whether that be throughout the lyrics, through the lyrical content, or through the music. We're never going to be the type of band that just settles on one sound. So some people might not like that, but we're going to constantly evolve. That's the thing with TesseracT, it's an evolving thing.
Yeah, I mean, in comparison, going back into the tour, Meshuggah is a great example of that as well, where, it's like, it does have the Meshuggah sound, but on every album it is so much different, very forward-thinking, and much more experimentation that goes on into every album, just like TesseracT.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Meshuggah fan, I'm very honest with you, so I'm not actually that familiar with all the back catalogue. But yeah, I think you're probably right. They are an example of a band that's trying to stay ahead of the game and push boundaries. And I think we have a similar approach, but sonically it might seem a bit more drastic in the approach, how certain elements change so much.
So obviously, besides working on the album once the tour's done, what are some other plans that's going on in 2017?
The rest of this year is looking fairly quiet. I mean, we have had quite a disruptive year. We wanted to spend, a large amount of this year uninterrupted, just being in the studio and writing. So the whole process for us has been disrupted. One, because of this tour, because of a few other festivals that have cropped up, and we have more throughout the year. That's, we have to keep a presence in the live arena, and it's good progression for us. But yeah, we have to really sit down and nail the album now. So I think we will be fairly quiet until next year.
So what about with you? Do you have any other projects that you're currently working on, or are you just focused on TesseracT right now? I'm fairly creative. I'm very lucky to have a very relaxed lifestyle where I can sustain that creative life. So I have a home studio and I'm always writing for different things. I've just released an album called Zeta, which features Paul Ortiz from Chimp Spanner,
a female producer called Katie Jackson, and that's electronic and synthwave, and that's literally just gone out in the last few weeks. I've got another album coming out this year, which is White Moth Black Butterfly, the second album. And I've also got a solo album in the works as well. So I mean, I'm very, very busy. I always like to try and stay ahead of the game. So I have like 4 albums that are like backed up, ready to be released over the next few years, and no doubt there will be within the next year or two. So I like to constantly have releases in the pipeline. Stay busy.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've always admired about what you do, is that you don't just focus on one style of music, and you are able to venture into so many different territories, and you're able to express yourself so very well. I mean, no matter what the project is, no matter what the guest spot is on a song, or whatever the case is, you're always able to shine so well and fit everything that needs to be.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously very, very kind of you to say so. I mean, I think for me, not only as a singer, but as a vocal coach, my studies really do reflect what I'm producing as an artist as well. So I'm constantly improving as a singer and as a producer of my own work as well. So I'm always looking to find new angles, new parts of my voice that I want to experiment with. And yeah, I mean, I haven't stopped experimenting at the minute, so maybe that's a good thing. When I stop experimenting, maybe I might need some inspiration. So, but at the minute, I'm feeling quite fresh. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, that's the great thing about having so many different outlets, is that the creativity is always going to be there.
It is. I have to say that I'm starting to feel a little bit drained. I have to really, watch a lot of films and listen to different projects and soundtracks, and get out into the open and just find as many places as I can, because it is very easy to dry up if you're not careful. And it's like, I think over the past 7 or 8 years, I've put 13, 14 different records out, which not everybody knows about. So that's like a lot of material.
Yeah.
So lyrically, I'm always having to find new instrument and a new direction. But I think with the new TesseracT stuff, it's really exciting. Because like I say, we want it to be a conceptual album, and we have some strong ideas for that. So I'm definitely not short of inspiration for TesseracT, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And when you have so many outlets and you're not just focused on one style like that, you are able to, when you focus on TesseracT material, you're able to have more of that inspiration. I mean, whether, it's like your work with Sky Harbor or piano or any of the guest spots that you're doing, it's like when you have all those different outlets, and when you go and focus on TesseracT, you have more of that mindset going into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And TesseracT is obviously a priority for me, and it's a big deal, and it's something that I'm investing in, and saving back a lot of the juicy stuff. TesseracT, you kind of do have to spread yourself out a little bit in terms of creativity as well. But yeah, I'm definitely saving a lot for TesseracT, that's for sure.
So you mentioned before that you do have to step away, so you're not completely focused on music 100%. What are you currently doing to be able to relax, like as far as like watching film or other activities?
Yeah, I think it's just keeping busy, clearing your mind, trying to be intentional with your diary, and not to fall into the trap of being overwhelmed with all the different stuff you've got on. So I have lots of to-do lists, and I'm a very, very pragmatic person. I like structure in my life, and like for example, I can't work and I can't settle down until my studio's clean. If I have a clean, nice environment, I feel settled, and I'm more productive in those type of environments. But in terms of like other things that I do, I love sport and fitness. I do lots of running. I'm really into squash at the minute, actually. That's an excellent sport. Really very good for your core. Everyone's laughing in the room around because they don't do any exercise, and they're very unfit people. But for me, I absolutely love it. It's great. It's a great way to clear your mind as well.
Oh, absolutely. When you're able to have all those different facets, I mean, whether you're just relaxing or you're working with exercise, I mean, it's all different ways to be able to at least mentally make yourself feel better. So when you do have to get back to work, you feel that much more refreshed.
Oh, definitely. You can become stale very, very quickly. So yeah, I think when things get quite intense towards approaching deadlines, it's very easy to lock yourself away in a room for a good 7 or 8 hours without a break. So you have to make sure you have regular breaks. get some fresh air. It really is that simple. It's just clearing your mind and being focused, and like I say, being intentional with your schedule and your to-do lists and your diary, prioritizing things and just being organized. That's really the only way I've been able to survive. I mean, I've got two kids and a family and a mortgage to pay for, and I teach a lot to sustain that lifestyle. I've been working on the vocal coaching website the past 3 years. So yeah, you have to be very organized to kind of balance everything.
Yeah, I mean, with the kind of lifestyle that you have, I mean, like so many guest spots, so many different projects, being able to tour like this with Megadeth and Meshuggah, that, writing the new TesseracT album, I mean, you definitely have to have that kind of approach to be able to maintain everything and make sure all sides of your life are happy.
Yeah, and obviously, because I've got family at home, I've got to make sure I've got a lot of time for those guys as well. Work is really secondary to family, so even though it's all important at the minute, but yeah, just finding the balance. Someone once told me a great things like try and live life in the middle lane of a motorway. So if you're in the slow lane, you're just letting life pass you by. If you're in the fast lane, you're not taking enough time to smell the roses. You've got to try and get that nice balance of productivity and lifetime.
Oh, that's definitely a great way to look at it. I've never thought of it that way before. I mean, that's definitely a great way to live life, is with that approach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, Dan, thank you so very much for taking the time to talk to me about everything that you got going on. I'm very excited about what you guys have coming forward with TesseracT. It's awesome to see that you guys are getting the exposure that you have with Megadeth and Meshuggah on this current run, and I'm very excited to see everything that you guys have coming up in the future.
Oh, great, man. Thank you so much for speaking. It's been awesome.